I hope you all are fitting fine at your places. I'm Priyanka Bish from Ardent Progressive School. Today in this session, we'll be discussing about the topics of Chapter 1 of Business Studies, which is Nature and Purpose of Business. In the previous class, we have studied about the classification of business activities. Now in this session, we'll be studying about the classification of commerce. Business activities are basically divided into two parts. First is industry, second is commerce. So industry we have learned in the previous session, and here we'll be learning about the classification of commerce and what is commerce. So the topics which we'll be covering in this session will be commerce, trade, aids to trade, which is also called auxiliary to trade, then business risk, and what factors or what basic factors are necessary which is to be kept in mind while starting a business. So these are the topics which we'll be covering in this session. So we'll start with the topic functions of commerce. We have already studied about the term commerce in the previous class. Commerce refers to all those activities which help directly or indirectly in the distribution of goods to the ultimate customers. Clear? Now we will be learning about some functions of commerce. So first function is commerce helps in removing the hindrances of persons. Now, as we know, goods are produced by producers and these goods are produced for consumer. So there is no distinct relation, or we can say there is no direct relation between the producers and the customers. So here the trade segment of commerce, it helps in exchange of goods and services from producer to consumer, and they hence remove the hindrance between producers and consumers. So we can say here trade segment. Trade means exchange of goods and services. So trade segment of commerce, it creates a link between the producers and consumer, and it also help in exchange of goods and services from producers to consumer. Therefore, we can say the hindrance of person can be removed by trade segment of commerce. Now next is commerce helps in removing the hindrance of place. So as we know, goods are produced at one place and customers are scattered in different corners of the country. So we can say there is a place gap between the producers and consumers. So how this place gap can be removed? This can be removed by the transport segment of commerce. Now transportation means moving of goods from the place of manufacturing to the customers. So transport segment of commerce helps in removing the place gap. Now transports move the good from place of production to the markets which are easily accessed by the customer. Thus the transport is essential for buying and selling of goods, and it is an important function of commerce. Now the third function is commerce helps in removing the hindrance of time. So as we know, some goods are produced in a particular season only, but they are demanded throughout the year. For example, wheat, rice, pulses, etc. These are produced in a particular season, but they are demanded throughout the year. On the other hand, some goods are produced throughout the year, but they are demanded in a particular season. So we can say there is a time gap between the production and consumption. Till then, the goods need to be kept safe and fresh during this time gap. So here, warehousing segment of commerce helps in removing the problem of time gap. The goods can be kept safely in the warehouses till they are demanded in the market. And we know there are various types of warehouses which are constructed, and according to the requirement of goods, these goods are kept safe in warehouses. Example can be, there are some perishable goods which are kept in cold storage houses, inflammable goods which are kept in fireproof warehouses, etc. So time gap is removed by warehousing. Fourth function is commerce helps in removing the hindrance of exchange. Now here exchange means exchange of goods and services. So goods and services, they are produced by the manufacturer and they are sold to the buyer in exchange of money. So here the common medium of exchange is circulated by banking branch of commerce. Now the bank helps the buyers and the sellers in making and collecting payments. So now businessman can send the money from one place to another in the form of either bank draft or checks. So we can say banks are also financing businessman by granting them loan, credit facilities, etc. And banks are helping the external trade also by issuing the letter of credit and by providing the foreign currency. So here the hindrance of exchange is removed by banking branch of commerce. Fifth function is helps in removing the hindrance of risk. Now what is risk? We know every businessman have to be a risk when he starts the business. So there are different types of risk which a businessman has to face. Now the insurance branch of commerce helps in removing the hindrance of risk by providing the protection and compensation to the insured. So the hindrance of risk is removed by insurance. Insurance company agree to undertake to make good the losses suffered by the businessman, and the common types of risk covered by insurance companies are damage of goods during the transit, storage, by fire, flood, rain, etc. So it is very necessary for the businessman to get its business insured by the insurance company. Now the last function is commerce helps in removing the hindrance of knowledge. As we know, generally customers and buyers are unaware about the new goods produced by the manufacturer. Why? Because there is no direct communication between the manufacturer and the ultimate consumer. So here the advertisement branch of commerce helps in removing the hindrance of knowledge by spreading the awareness about the new product and their utility. For example, everyone knows that i9 is the latest microprocessor of the computer because of advertisement. So after studying the functions of commerce, now we will be discussing about the classification of commerce. Commerce can be classified into two broad categories. First is trade, second is aids to trade. Aids to trade can also be called as auxiliaries to trade. Now, what is trade? Trade is an integral part of commerce and it refers to buying and selling of goods and services. The trade segment of commerce brings together the manufacturer and the consumer. So basically, the word trade means exchange of goods and services. Goods and services are exchanged between the manufacturer and the consumer. So in the absence of the traders, the manufacturer will have to search for consumers and the consumers will have to search for the manufacturers. So trade segment of commerce helps in removing the hindrance of person. Now, trade can also be classified into two main categories, which is internal trade and external trade. So first we'll be discussing about internal trade. Now what is internal trade? So internal trade refers to buying and selling of goods or services within the geographical boundaries of country. It is known as internal trade, and internal trade is also known as home trade. So we can say that in internal trade, goods and services that are bought in our country, they are sold in the home currency only. And the internal trade can also be categorized into two main categories. First is wholesale trade, second is retail trade. So what is wholesale trade? Wholesale trade means buying and selling of goods and services in large quantity. The wholesalers buy the goods directly from the manufacturer and sell these goods to the retailers. So there is a chain which is followed in the exchange of goods. First is the manufacturer who produces the good. He sells these goods to the wholesaler, and finally the wholesaler sells these goods to the retailers. So here the wholesaler is specialized in one line of product. In wholesale trade, basically the wholesaler is buying a large amount of goods from the manufacturer. So we can say wholesaler is specialized in one line of product because He maintains a large stock. So he buys goods for cash from the manufacturer and he sells on credit to the retailer. Now the wholesaler, who is a link between the manufacturer and the retailer, he is buying the goods from the manufacturer on cash and he is selling the goods to the retailer on credit. So a large amount of capital is required in wholesale trade also. Now if we talk about retail trade, so retail trade refers to buying and selling of goods and services in small quantities. And the retailer buys goods from the wholesaler and sell these goods to the ultimate consumer. As we know, according to the chain of which is followed in the exchange of goods and services, the very first one is manufacturer who is producing the goods. Second is the wholesaler who is buying the goods from the manufacturer. Now after buying the goods from the manufacturer, wholesaler is selling those goods to the retailer. And finally the retailer is selling these goods to the ultimate consumer. So in retail trade, the retailer is selling the goods to the consumer. So here the retailer is purchasing the goods and services from the wholesaler in small quantity. So we can say the retailer has to maintain a variety of goods. Now here is another category of trade, which is external trade. So external trade means it refers to buying and selling of goods or services beyond the geographical boundaries of a country. It is also known as the trade between two or more countries, and in external trade the market is very wide. So the difference between internal trade and external trade is, internal trade was where the exchange of goods and services takes place within a country, whereas in external trade there is exchange of goods and services between two or more countries. So here external trade enables the businessmen to use the resources of their country in a competitive way. External trade involves the completion of various rules and regulations such as licensing, custom clearance, etc. Now there are types of external trade also. First is export. What is export? Export refers to the sale of goods to a foreign country. Now the developing countries like India encourage export as it results in increasing foreign reserve. So export means when one country is selling its goods to the another country, that is export trade. Next is import trade. Now import refers to buying of goods from a foreign country. Import of technology or capital goods is encouraged as compared to import of consumer good. So import trade means when one country is buying the goods from another country, that is import. For example, if India is buying some goods from Russia, it is known as import trade. Next is entrepot trade. So entrepot means it refers to the import of goods for the purpose of export. In entrepot, the goods are purchased from a foreign country but not for consumption in home country but for selling these goods to some other foreign country. Example can be if India buys some goods from Russia and sell these goods to the other country like Japan. So this is the example of entrepot trade. Now here is a second broad category of commerce, which is aids to trade or auxiliaries to trade. Now aids to trade means it is the activities which helps in smooth flow of trade, that is known as aids to trade, and these activities make buying and selling of goods more easy. So these activities are also known as service, and they together constitute a service sector or tertiary sector of commerce. So we can say aids to trade is also known as tertiary or service sector of commerce. Why? Because they help in removing various hindrances of trade which arise in production and distribution of goods. So here are some common auxiliaries or aids to trade. First is transport and communication. Now as we know, transport refers to the movement of goods from one place to another, as the production of goods takes place at one place, whereas these are demanded in different parts of the country. Let's take an example. A tea is produced in Assam and Darjeeling but is consumed in all parts of the country. So this is made possible only because of transport. Transport is also helpful in movement of raw materials and other resources to the industries and factories. So we can say transport is the segment of commerce which helps in removing the hindrance of place. Now, next is banking and finance. Now, banks and financial institutions, they provide credit facilities, loan, or they provide finance for smooth functioning of business activities. So, banks basically help the businessman to overcome the problems of funds. Now, here, the commercial banks also provide many other facilities such as collection and deposit of check, issue of bank draft, discounting of bill of exchange, etc. So here we can say that the bank also provide the facility of overdraft, cash credit limit, arrangement and payment in foreign currencies in case of foreign trade. So here the banking branch of commerce helps in the hindrances of exchange of goods. Next is insurance. As we know, businessmen have to be of various types of risk. So insurance provides protection from some kinds of risk such as risk of loss due to fire, theft, accident, etc. Insurance company also provides protection to employees against the risk of accident while working. So for this, businessman just have to pay a nominal amount of premium, and in return they get the compensation for the loss from the insurance company. So insurance is also an important part of commerce. Next is warehousing. So we know there is usually a time gap between the production and consumption of goods. Goods are not consumed immediately when these are produced. For example, we have already discussed this example that wheat and rice, they are produced in a particular season only, but these are consumed throughout the year. So these are to be stored, and for this a special arrangement has to be made to store the goods to prevent the loss and to keep them fresh. So here warehousing helps the businessman to overcome the problem of storage. Now last is advertisement. So practically it is impossible for a manufacturer and the trader to contact each and every customer. So this can be solved with the help of advertisement. Advertisement helps to overcome this problem. Goods are advertised to inform the consumer about their uses, quality and prices. So we can say advertisement helps awareness among the consumers regarding new goods and their uses. So advertisement function, it directly promotes the sale of goods, and it is a very good technique of sales promotion, and it improves the knowledge of customers. So these were some aids to trade which is important for commerce. Now next we have business risk. So business risk refers to the probability of losses of inadequate profit due to uncertainties or unexpected events which are beyond control. In simple words, we can say business risk means a chance of incurring losses or less profit than expected. We know businessman has to face lot of risk in the business. So here these risk cannot be ascertained because it all depends upon the uncertainties or unexpected events. For example, demand for a product may decline due to change in taste and preferences of the customers, or due to change in fashion, or due to change in competitors' policy. So these factors cannot be controlled by the businessman, and these can result in decline of profit, or it can also lead to loss. So now we'll be discussing about the nature of business risk. Nature of business risk is business risk arises due to uncertainties. Uncertainties mean when you are not sure of what is going to happen in future. Common example of uncertainties can be change in demand, government policies, technologies, etc. So business risk is due to these uncertainties. Next is risk is an essential part of every business. Risk is a very important characteristic of business. No business can avoid risk, although degree of risk may vary. So risk can be reduced, but it cannot be eliminated. Third is degree of risk depends upon the nature and size of business. Now here the degree of risk depends upon all the types of business. For example, a business involved in fashion items, they bear more risk as compared to business involved in standardized good. Similarly, a business operating at large scale bears more risk as compared to small scale business houses. And last is, profit is the reward for bearing the risk. Now, businessmen earn profit because they are bearing risk. No risk, no gain. So here, larger the risk, more is the profit. Now here, an entrepreneur bears the risk with expectations of earning profit. Next, we have some causes of business risk. First cause is natural cause. So nature is an independent phenomenon, we all know, and the human beings have no control over it. Natural calamities like earthquake, flood, drought, famine, etc., they affect a business a lot and they can result in heavy losses. So here natural cause are such type of uncertain factors that the human beings cannot make any preparation against it. Second cause is human cause. Human cause are basically related to the chance of loss due to human being or employees of the organization. The dishonesty of employees can bring heavy losses for the business. For example, the employees may leak a business secret to a competitor, or it may commit fraud also. So these are some reasons of business risk, and these reasons are of human causes. Third is economic causes. Now, economic causes are related to a chance of loss due to change in market condition. There can be price fluctuations in the market. There can be change in fashion, taste, preferences and demands of the customers. So here there can be a change in the degree of competition also. All these have a direct impact on the earnings of business. Even change in government policy affects the business a lot. And last we have physical causes. So here all the causes which result in damage of assets are considered as physical causes. For example, change in technology may result in machinery being outdated, use of old technology. Mechanical defects may also result in damage of assets such as bursting of boiler, accident to employees, etc. So these are some causes of business risk: natural cause, human cause, economic cause and physical cause. Now here are some methods of dealing with the risk. First is not to enter into too risky transaction. Second is take preventive measures like firefighting devices to reduce the risk. Then take insurance policy to transfer risk to insurance company. After that, assume risk by making provisions in the current earnings as in the case of provision for bad and doubtful debts. And last is shares risk with the other enterprises as manufacturers and the wholesalers may do by agreeing to share losses which may be caused by falling prices. So these are the methods of dealing with the business risk. Now at last, we'll be seeing the basic factors which are to be kept in mind in the businessman to start a business. First is selection of line of business. So the very first step is to select which line of business a businessman has to start or decide. So the first thing is to be decided by an entrepreneur is the nature and type of business to be undertaken. What should be the nature of business? That means in which goods the businessman has to deal and which type of business is to be undertaken, such as sole proprietorship or partnerships, etc. Second is size of the firm. So size of the firm or scale of its operation is another important decision which is to be taken at the start of the business. Some factors favors a large size whereas others tend to restrict the scale of operation. Now here, after deciding the line of business, now the businessman has to decide the size of the business, whether they have to start a large scale business or small scale business. Third is choice of form of ownership. Now, with respect to ownership, the business organization may take the form of business organization. That means which form of business a businessman is thinking to start up. Whether they are thinking of a sole proprietorship or partnership or joint stock company. These are some form of ownership. Next is location of business enterprise. So, location is an important factor to be considered at the start of the business. Which place the enterprise should be located? This is an important factor. It should be located in a market area where there can be more customers, more consumers, and it is easy for the businessman to carry on the business activities. Next is financing the proposition. Now, financing is concerned with providing the necessary capital for starting as well as for continuing the proposed business. So, here the businessman has to decide from which source he will be raising finance. Next step is physical facility. So, availability of physical facilities like machines and equipments, building and supportive service, it is an important factor to start a business. After that, plant layout. So, once the requirement of physical facilities has been determined, the entrepreneur should draw a layout plan showing the arrangement of these facility. So, after deciding the physical facilities, arrangement is done to show the layout of these arrangement. Next is competent and committed workforce. Every enterprise needs competent and committed workforce to perform various activities so that the physical and financial resources are converted into desired outputs. So now once the layout plan is decided, arrangement has been done for the physical facilities. Now who will use these resources? For that they need human resources. So every enterprise needs some employees so that they can perform the business activity and the business can attain its objective. Next we have tax planning. So tax planning has become necessary these days because there are a number of tax laws in the country and they influence almost every aspect of the functioning of modern business. So here businessman should also do the tax planning because tax is an important factor for every business. Next is launching the enterprise. So after the decisions relating to the all above mentioned factor has been taken, the entrepreneur can go ahead with actual launching of the enterprise. So by following all these steps, by keeping all these factors in mind, now the businessman can finally launch its enterprise. So these were some important basic factors which should be kept in mind by the businessman to start the business. So in this session we have learned about the functions of commerce, classification of commerce into trade and aids to trade, and we have also classified trade and aids to trade into various categories, and we have learned about the business risk also, what are the causes of business risk and the factors which should be kept in mind while starting a business. So with this we have ended the first chapter of business studies, which was nature and purpose of business. In the next session we'll be discussing about the next chapter. That's all for today. Thank you.